and welcome back to Rock, Paper, Shotgun. Liam here, and today I'm joined once again by our Editor-in-Chief, Catherine Castle. Hey Catherine, how's it going?
Yeah, not too bad, Liam. How are you?
Not too bad. So you were recently invited to play a preview build of Assassin's Creed Mirage, the upcoming 13th mainline Assassin's Creed game that's set to replace the RPG mechanics first introduced in 2017's Assassin's Creed Origins, with more traditional features such as a more contained open world, a greater emphasis on stealth, and apparently and hopefully a far shorter runtime. So Catherine, the first question I have for you is, what exactly did you see and what are your general thoughts about Mirage?
So during my preview session, I played around 4 hours of Assassin's Creed Mirage, which, yes, as you were saying, it's been kind of pitched as a love letter to old Assassin's Creed games. It's the series' 15th anniversary, and this game is I think solely been designed to kind of like hark back to the original Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed 2, those sorts of Assassin's Creed where, yes, stealth was definitely the primary order of the day. And yes, this very much feels like one of those older games, which is nice. I've sort of, having played over 100 hours of both Odyssey and Valhalla over the last couple of years, I am very much up for a shorter Assassin's Creed that is, kind of like more going back to basics on what it's kind of built its name on. So during the 4 hours, it was sort of split into 3 different sections.
Okay.
The very opening of the game, sort of as Basim, who is a recurring character actually from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. He was kind of like one of your fellow assassins that Eivor did some murdering with. And so yes, this kind of goes back to Basim's roots. This kind of shows his journey to becoming an assassin. So yeah, we start off in kind of 9th century Baghdad with a young Basim. He's kind of like in his street thief era. At the opening, he's kind of very centered around obviously teaching you how to stealth around the city, pick some pockets along the way, a bit kind of Ezio style, which is actually quite fun. There's sort of like a timed button press that you can just kind of walk up behind anyone and kind of, just literally lift their purse, which is quite fun in its own way. You can sort of do it on the fly very, very fast as well. So it's sort of that kind of established what Basim's deal is, and then it kind of skipped forward a little bit to Basim undergoing his kind of assassin kind of initiation test in the Tower of Alamut, which I sort of vaguely remember this from older Assassin's Creed games. I'm told it's a very important place in Assassin's Creed lore. Basically the big castle where they all hang out.
That's from the first game, I think, right?
Yes, I think so.
Serves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is kind of still being built at this point. But there are a lot of assassins hanging about. And this is kind of like where his training happens. There is a very good Lion King style kind of boy to man montage, which I really enjoyed, of kind of Basim kind of becoming of Basim becoming an assassin and doing his training. That was very much enjoyable. His sort of he has a Simba style man beard growing kind of over the period of about 2 minutes, which is good fun.
Love that.
So yes, that's kind of sort of teaches you a little bit more about the assassins at the time, and kind of sets the scene for what is to come. Yes, for various story reasons, Basim is then called back to Baghdad to kind of uncover a network of kind of proto-Templars. That then kicks off the third part of the demo, which was sort of described as a kind of black box mission, which is kind of a term that they used, I think, sort of back during Assassin's Creed Syndicate. To give an example of that, there was a really good mission where you kind of went to the Lambeth Asylum at one point to kind of eliminate this kind of mad doctor guy. And you could, as part of it, you kind of had free reign of it, a little bit like Hitman. And one of the ways that you could take him down was by going down to the morgue and pretending to be a dead body that kind of basically then came up on a medical gurney to be examined by said doctor. And then you could just, stick your blade in him like that. It was quite fun. I quite enjoyed it. Probably the best bit of an Assassin's Creed game I think I've ever played. I don't think Mirage is maybe quite, or at least the mission that I played is maybe quite that kind of spectacular, or that kind of reaches that kind of level of Hitman-esque kind of freedom in that sense, but it's still kind of, it's trying to, that's what it's trying to go for. And it was sort of set in this quite large area called the Bazaar. You can sort of find different pieces of evidence to kind of track down the identity of your target, listen in on different conversations, follow those characters about. I think really based on what I played, even though we were told you could tackle this in any order, or in any way that we could see fit, it still felt like there was really only one solution that we were kind of being pointed towards. So I'd be interested to see kind of whether kind of future black box missions like this are do give you a bit more freedom. But that was kind of the broad shape of of what I played. But yeah, like my overall impression is that this very much feels like the Assassin's Creed games of old. It's set in that single location of Baghdad for the most part. There's your Assassin's Creed 2 kind of notoriety levels are back, which is quite good fun. There's sort of, a much heavier emphasis on social stealth in that, people will react and start actively hunting you down if they sort of catch you, murdering people in public, hijacking horses, also camels. I hijacked a camel at one point, which was pretty good.
Amazing.
And so that was quite fun. But yeah, doing sort of bad stuff like that will kind of raise your notoriety level, which you can kind of remove by either sort of tearing down wanted posters, much like you could do in Assassin's Creed 2, or kind of like basically paying to a guy in various places in the town to kind of basically remove that level of notoriety from you. That kind of level of reactivity, just to say like guards, if your notoriety level is particularly high, then like guards will actively pursue you if they spot you, just even if you're just wandering around doing nothing. Archers will kind of actively start shooting at you if you try and climb up towers or just sort of come in their general vicinity. And they'll also sort of shoot down or try and shoot down your eagle, which sort of returns as a kind of much like more recent Assassin's Creed games. You have an eagle that you can use to kind of survey the area, tag targets and guards and things. But yeah, if there's a marksman in the nearby area, they will start shooting at your bird and you will have to take them down before you can basically use the bird as you would do. So yeah, it just feels a little bit more like, oh yes, this is a bit more of a puzzle now. I need to actually use stealth and take out specific guards and enemies in order to kind of do what I need to do. Which is, as I say, like, is exactly what I think more recent Assassin's Creed games have been missing, and something that I'm quite looking forward to kind of digging back into.
I really did love those old Assassin's Creed games, and I'm quite excited about the thought of going back to that more quote-unquote traditional formula. But there is this lingering question in my head, which is saying, well, I played a lot of these year on year, and by the time Syndicate rolled around, I felt like I'd seen everything that formula could show me, and as exciting as it was to be in different locations, they all started to feel incredibly samey. And that was why Origins felt like such a breath of fresh air, right? It introduced all these RPG mechanics. What is it like returning to a classic Assassin's Creed game? Did it feel fresh again? Because it has been quite a few years since we've last played a game like this. Does it feel a little bit too old school, or with these new mechanics they've added in, does it feel like a different kind of game? Like, where do you stand on it from what you've seen? Yeah,
it's an interesting kind of conundrum in that I would say sort of specifically the combat feels like a step backwards in that it is much simpler. It is basically what the combat was like in those earlier Assassin's Creed games, which, let's face it, wasn't brilliant. That feels, I think, particularly after the kind of the great big hoofing kicks that you had as Cassandra and Eivor, it does feel less fun and a bit kind of like just less enjoyable to just sort of doing your classic kind of sword swings and your basic parries and dodging. So that's kind of a little bit of a shame. They have added in a new assassination technique called the assassin focus, which I'm pretty sure is new. I don't remember this being in previous games, but it sort of is a lightning fast kind of chain attack that you can do while in midair. I'm pretty sure that kind of previous Assassin's Creed games, you could unlock a skill that let you kind of chain two assassinations together if there was another one in your eye line, but this lets you do it kind of mid-jump, which is quite fun. Kind of a little bit kind of Breath of the Wild in the way that you can kind of freeze time and sort of mark up your targets and then kind of just basically unleash a bunch of throwing knives and stuff to take out lots of people at once.
It sounds like the same mechanic from a Splinter Cell Conviction and Blacklist.
Yes, it's basically exactly like that.
All right, okay. I mean, yes, that sounds great. I love those games.
So I think, like as I say, the combat overall, apart from that assassin focus, will I think feel a bit kind of old, a bit tired. I think that there are still very light RPG mechanics in here, in that you still have skill points that will let you unlock new abilities, get another bar on your stealth meter and let you have more items and all that sort of stuff. But it is much more pared back than the branching skill trees of Odyssey and Valhalla. So it definitely feels like, yes, this is the Assassin's Creed that you remember, and it is just that. I'm not sure that it will necessarily offer anything new to people who have maybe kind of got tired of the series. I'm not sure it will necessarily move the series forward as such, because this is kind of styled as a 15th anniversary game, it is very much, kind of intended to recapture those old feelings. And that's fine. I think like it is good to revisit it. I'm not sure that it is kind of, necessarily going to be offering much anything new. It is solely, I think, an exercise in sort of, you remembering, oh yeah, this is the Assassin's Creed that I liked. I mean, it'll be really interesting, I think, to see. This is probably going to be one of the last games that we get before whatever Assassin's Creed Infinity is going to be. We still haven't really heard a huge amount about what that is. Obviously, we know that there are other mainline games being developed. There's one set in feudal Japan. There's one with kind of witchy, I think the code name is Hexe, or sort of a sort of more witchy setting. But whether those will be like this, kind of more of a a return to that stealth, a return to those stealth roots, or whether they will be Valhalla style epics that are just enormous, I honestly don't know. I kind of hope that we do see more of these older style games in the Assassin's Creed series in the future, because as I say, I think like it does feel like, oh yes, this is nice. A much more kind of agreeable length that feels a lot more focused, even if yes, it doesn't necessarily carry much forward. I think it's almost sort of in some respects limited by, because it is more of a nostalgia exercise, it is limited by the fact that they almost can't change the combat or what those Assassin's Creed games were too much, because then people will say, hold on a second, this isn't the Assassin's Creed I remember. So yes, they've sort of introduced a few new things to give it that little extra flavour of feeling a little bit new. But this is very much a game that I think just appeals to that nostalgia factor for people, wanting that older kind of Assassin's Creed experience. Yeah,
I mean, that does appeal to me. And I really like, it's interesting when you mention it, that it's a nostalgia piece for the game's 15th, or the series' 15th anniversary, is they're almost framing this like it's not a remake of the original Assassin's Creed, but it's very much trying to capture the same tone and atmosphere of that original game, from what I understand, from what they've said in marketing materials and things. Did you get that sense?
Yeah, it's kind of an amalgamation of Assassin's Creed 1 and 2 in that it kind of brings all the good stuff that Assassin's Creed 2 introduced to the series, but kind of meshes it with that kind of slightly older setting. It's kind of the Assassin's Creed game, I think like a lot of people maybe said this, Assassin's Creed 2 is where it got good, and this is smushing those two games together to be like that ultimate, yes, this is what the definitive old Assassin's Creed game kind of was. Spread across two games. Like arguably, maybe this is what the first Assassin's Creed game should have looked and felt like, perhaps. But that's with the benefit of hindsight. But I think it is definitely capturing what made those two games special, and kind of just bringing that back for 2023.
No, I'm like excited for this. I think it looks like something I'd enjoy playing, and based on what you've said, it sounds like they've added just enough quality of life features in it to maybe get over that hump of, haven't I already played this before? Thank you so much for jumping on the channel. It's always a pleasure to have you here and hear about what you've been playing, so thank you much for that. You can read more of Catherine's words about the game over at rockpapershotgun.com, and we'll be back very soon with more videos about PC games. Bye for now.